dropped out, and then we thought that Germany was going to win, so then we joined.
Correct, because if Germany won, then France and Britain would never pay us back.
Okay.
So there's a value of our investment. So again, we were neutral. President Wilson wanted no interest in the war, but then he declares it the war to end all wars and gets involved. Now, obviously, I just said a lot of stuff, and you wouldn't have to put everything down, but a description of those step by step would be a good start. Another potential essay question. All right, going back to it again, this has been a weird semester so far, but we've had a lot of time. Oops. Okay, got it. If you think about our semester so far, we've spent a lot of time on this, but it's been some weird weeks with snow days, and it's been weird going a couple days here, a couple days here. It's been hard, I think, on you guys through the process, but with that said, I'm going to try to simplify the essays by having this essay, potentially this essay, and then the movie we watched, All Quiet on the Western Front, we talked a bit about what we learned from seeing this. And again, this was a romanticized thing, war. One of the things that was dispelled was the romanticism of the war and the fact that we see this movie. Here's a list of the things that I think, if I asked the question, what are the themes of All Quiet on the Western Front that you could have learned about? And what I would expect you guys to be able to have is some of these ideas written down, as well as some of examples from the movie that would explain these. Now, I'll talk about each of these things here. Yeah?
Can we take a picture of that?
Sure. Go for it. You can walk up, snap a picture, do what you want to do.
Might as well.
I wonder sometimes, is picture taking less beneficial to you?
Yes, because
yeah, I can't read it.
If you write it down and you think about it, it usually somewhat helps the process. But if you just snap a picture or something, but if you're willing to take the time to go back and look at it, then I could see it being valuable.
I can't read my own writing.
Oh, like you can read mine so well? Because I've got beautiful writing.
What is it?
Very nice.
Huh?
Yeah, it's actually pretty good for me.
Yeah, he's gonna talk about it, so I'm just gonna keep recording.
All Quiet on the Western
I'll
Front.
just watch this all
after the
tonight.
first one, so I'm gonna like.
Alright, so I'll talk a little bit about All Quiet on the Western Front. One of the #1 things that you're going to see is the horrors of war. We talk about the lost generation that comes out of World War I, but the horrors of war, and you remember, they had this rah, rah, rah attitude, this like, here we go, we're going to win, we're going to fight, our country's better than everybody else. It's that nationalism idea. With that rah, rah, rah attitude, a lot of people went thinking this was going to be quick, it was going to be short, and they were going to easily win. But then when they get there, they realize this war is ugly. It's a very ugly thing going on. So you've got this existentialism idea, if you see here, that now it's become kind of a rah, rah, rah to how in the world do we survive this fighting? How do we make it alive? And even if we make it alive, our lives are completely destroyed. Psychologically, if you go through all the people that were their buddies, they all die or end up in an insane asylum. And that's the story that Remarque, as author of All Quiet, tells as a German soldier saying, man, we thought we were the greatest in the world. We thought we couldn't be beaten. Of course, trench warfare leads to a stalemate. Machine guns, new technology leads to a horrible war. There's barbed wire and tanks and planes and the gas and so forth. All of these things lead to just an ugly war. And it's a survival thing, which is why they have so much respect for the guy, Cat, their buddy, because he has the ability to find food. He can tell by the sound of a shell if it's going to be nearby or not. And so you'll learn a lot quicker, the value of survival there. Now, I mentioned the lost generation. This story is about the effect on men, the effect on what it does to them and women, and just as a whole, because here you could think back to the scene of the French women. It was like, here they are, the enemy, but they could have cared less, They're going to have Bible study, So they got food, so the girls were like awesome, and so then they get together. Nationalism. Nationalism is another theme that you could have. If you remember, and this is something we've talked quite a bit about, but their teacher, you know, they believe misled them, you know, calling us the Iron Youth and telling us what a duty we have to go and fight for our nation and how proud everyone will be of us. And numerous examples can dispel that, you know. The example of their teacher, first of all, where they just thought their teachers were worthless. They didn't teach them anything they really needed to know about life. War taught them everything about what their life really was. And then, of course, Paul going home on leave. You know, if he goes home on leave and he realizes all these people want to know stories of how great the war effort is, and he's looking at these people like they're on drugs. He's like, really? Like, all you can think about is how wonderful this is when half the people I know are dead and I've watched them die. And then you got the theme of the scene with the French soldier, Gerard Duval, the printer, how he's in a hole, and it's again, this goes to the next, one of the next themes, which is animal instinct, is Paul's in no man's land, laying in a shell, and this guy jumps in and just stabs him, and then he watches this guy slowly die in pain, and it just causes him to go through the thought process of, this guy is just like me. We're identical people that have both been told by our country that we should go fight in this war. And in doing so, we're realizing very quickly that that's not going to be, I mean, he's got a family, he's got a kid, and I just killed him. It makes him rethink the whole thing. Why don't the leaders of the nations just go fight rather than anyone else? So again, this animal instinct is to protect yourself, to find food. War is very different than just going and fighting. You know, they look forward to rations. Finally, I mentioned the theme of those boots to follow. You know, they wanted Mueller's boots, and Kemmerich for Mueller, and cheapness of life. In other words, all they cared about was when someone died is that they got their belongings that were going to help them survive. And boots was the theme, that motif that gets carried throughout this entire book or movie that you guys saw. So again, you had a list of these things with an explanation of where these were. That would be a good essay for you. Questions?
Wait, we have to list those? Okay.
List them. If you want to snap a picture, you can. If you want to write them, that's fine. Whatever. It's all good.
You should accidentally forget to
Accidentally forget.
Are we done?
We're done.